New Deal programs, key elements and effects. Introduction. President Hoover offered the citizens of America very unsatisfying leadership despite the fact the citizens were ready for change. People needed a president who would go out of his way to bring back the federal government to its economy. At this time, the eligible Democratic candidate was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was deemed the right candidate with these qualities. With his chance at the White House, Roosevelt came up with a New Deal aimed at bringing back the confidence of the Americans as well as revive the economy. The subject on this paper examines the three key elements of the New Deal as well as the effects. Elements of the New Deal. Roosevelt leadership discovered that the country was in need of three things: relief, reforms, and recovery. The New Deal focused its attention on provision of relief to issues of unemployment. It also assisted in improving the manufacturing sector as it promoted strive to recover the economy. The United States financial system was also an aspect of reform. Roosevelt managed to instigate many acts of legislation and policies that transformed into the New Deal, a statement that was a slogan in his inauguration speech. Relief. Relief was developed through job creation and especially through social programs. For instance, job creation was developed through the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA. Many people were employed to construct electricity-producing dams. The New Deal assisted them in building homes, state parks, roads, and other public structures. The deal also assisted in the construction of the Social Security system. It also encouraged the membership of the workers in labor unions and established farming policies. Recovery. Recovery was initiated through reforms on the American financial system. This was apparent in the reforms on the Emergency Banking Bill of 1933, which assisted in stabilizing the banking system. Roosevelt advocated for a balanced budget to aid in bringing out a balance. It also aimed at improving financial responsibility as well as promotion of the economic growth and health. Roosevelt also advocated for involvement in the Second World War, which was aimed at revitalizing the economy. The New Deal also assisted artists by funding them through the Works Progress Administration, WPA. Reforms. The New Deal also aimed to establish lasting reforms. For instance, the many programs established by Roosevelt are still effective even in the 21st century. Examples of these programs include the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, Social Security Program, SEC, the National Labor Relations, NLRA, and the Federal Housing Federation, FHA. Effects of the New Deal on society, economy, and politics. The New Deal instigated many reactions regarding to its impacts on the economy, politics, and the society at large. The society's impact. The society benefited from the New Deal through the rural scene programs. These were new policies that developed great significance to the society's agriculture. For instance, the farmers benefited through the initiative of the Agricultural Adjustment Act, which was passed in the year 1938. Through the Social Security Act, the poor were able to gain access to loans, which improved their livelihoods. The loan value in this case was determined through the amount of surplus of each farmer. Agricultural prices were also improved to act as a means of enhancing the federal aid. Rural electrification was also aimed at improving the living conditions of the society. The economic impacts. The Roosevelt administration improved the power of the federal government and especially the president. For instance, the president gained an active role in improving the economy through creation of jobs under regulation of the demand and supply. It also increased the government participation in management of disputes as well as settling labor. The government also successfully established agencies to regulate banking such as the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Despite the fact, the New Deal did not end the Great Depression, it assisted in lowering occurrence of suffering. The New Deal gave people hope by restoring their sense of dignity. According to the statistics, the federal deficit went higher by $2.90 in the year 1934. Due to cuts in the federal spending in the year 1937-1938, the deficit went down by $100 million, and the year that followed, it also rose at $2.9 billion. The massive spending by the federal government is said to have ended the Depression. This expenditure was based on purchase of ships, guns, airplanes, and tanks, among others. Political impacts. Franklin Delano Roosevelt's political campaigns promoted three basic elements that in turn promoted the main goals of the New Deal. He worked closely with administrators such as Harry Hopkins and Harold Ikes to ensure that the New Deal's program was effective. The New Deal aspired to ensure equitable funding on all the American states. The distribution of funds led to improvement of the federal land as well as the construction of highways. Roosevelt dedicated the funding to areas of the state where good use would prevail. The local government was utilized to enhance improvement on issues of unemployment and improve the living standards of all the citizens. Through the New Deal, Roosevelt's people were able to discover the fact, in the past leaders acted in a self-interested way. Roosevelt was, however, criticized for using the New Deal as a means of encouraging his re-election. This was not actually the case, since the efforts of various interest groups improved his focus on the New Deal. People also attested to the role played by his key elements, relief and recovery. Through many publications, the New Deal has been praised, hence an indication that it was successful. 3. Conclusion. American history has gone through different kinds of leadership, each with unique recordings. The era of Franklin Roosevelt is amongst the most memorable leadership. This is attributed to his unique role he played to bring change in the overall image of the country. Anyone who recalled him linked their thoughts on the role of the New Deal, which based its activity on three major elements: relief, recovery, and reforms. Roosevelt managed to bring change through these three elements, and most people benefited. Overall, Roosevelt brought change economically and politically and the overall well-being of society. This led to improvement of living standards of the poor through massive creation of jobs. Although his government was not able to entirely end the Great Depression, but he did much to improve the financial situation of the country. The federal government was granted more power to improve the economic situation of the country. The economic situation in America seems to have been the major subject of his agenda.